We think very long term. So when we make these investments or commitments to countries, we don't make them for the next 18 or 24 months. So despite disruption short term, we believe that China is also thinking very long term, and they are recognizing that the path to becoming a global powerhouse and influencing the world has certain consequences in terms of behavior, and that's not easy for them to accept. But they have been very reliable partner over many, many years. It's not very fast in terms of development, but very steady and consistent. So we're very much looking forward to strengthening our presence in China.
There's been some terrific advocates of the Asian emerging Chinese demographic story, none greater than perhaps the likes of Tian, who spotted this one a long time ago as well. Allianz is obviously tapping into that same zeitgeist or feeling that there's something really big happening there as well. Is that going to act as a necessary offset to what's going on in Europe? Because I'm hearing very candid comments in Europe here about our slow performance, our lack of ability to adapt, the fact that our economy hasn't been able to raise interest rates in the current cycle as well, and the fact that we're behind on a technological base as well. I don't want to write Europe off because I'd like to think I'm a keen European, but people are very worried about where we're at compared with Asia, compared with the States.
It's true. It's very true, and there's cause for concern. I'm an optimist. We have been doing very well. Don't forget, last few years, we are on the top of the cycle and probably over the top of the cycle. And everybody knows we need to make reforms. It's very difficult to do because we have parts of the population that we've left behind and they need to be addressed. In my opinion, we're overtaxing people that are working every day. And we have too many people that are getting money out of the system that are not contributing. So these things have to be addressed. By the way, they have nothing to do with globalization, right? That in the US you don't have proper access to education, healthcare, or pension has nothing to do with globalization. So we need to do our homework. And in Europe, we have to make sure we do the reforms that are necessary, particularly investing in technology and technology infrastructure. We are really behind.
Can I push back a little bit on that? Because to the audience who work hard every day, they'll hear that and they'll hear another capitalist who's saying that more money should go to capital. Is there not a case here for the business community also revisiting the way that the wealth that's being created is being distributed? Because it's not only about tax, it's also about income.
I agree with you, and income for the middle class has not grown as it has for the top part of the society and for the large corporations. It's very true, and we need to revisit that. Now, looking from Germany, we probably have a little bit of a different view. We didn't have the increasing divide on the income basis that many other countries, particularly the US, have seen. So maybe I'm a bit tainted by the balance that we have enjoyed in Germany. But it's true, we need to rebalance that. There's a big debate on how to do that. The immediate reaction is to go to 19th century recipes. Why don't you have just higher tax on income? I personally have a different view. You need to think about how you innovate and grow rather than constantly think about redistribution. The lack of growth is our challenge, not constantly thinking about how you take it out of one pocket into another.
Oliver, we just had some German data, and I'll just read it to you as it is and then get you to comment on it. Germany's growth in its service sector actually accelerated better than expected in January. The latest PMI survey is showing compensating for the first contraction in manufacturing activity in more than 4 years. I think that underlines a lot of what the conversation we've had so far as well. But service sector boosted. We've got the PMI, the broad flash composite figure, to 52.1 from 51.6 the previous month. Barely in contraction for manufacturing, but I'll tell you the number. It's 49.9 as well. Germany is in a strong position. You just alluded to the fact that there isn't the wage distortions that there are in other countries as well. Is it possible that Germany can change its psyche? And don't get me wrong, I'm a great advocate of the safeguards that Germany's put in, but actually go forth and spend at all kinds of levels, at an individual level where they save at 2-3 times what the British do, for instance, as well, and at a government level as well.
I'm sorry for being Germanic. I actually think the world is overspending, not underspending. We have higher debt levels today than we had before the financial crisis. The world, particularly the Western world, has been over-consuming, not underspending. So I have a totally different opinion. The issue is how you spend and where you spend. A lot of debt that states have raised went into consumption and redistribution rather than in investment, like into education, into infrastructure. We talked about technology. So I have a totally different opinion. I think we should spend more on infrastructure in the future. That's true. But generally saying let's increase spending, I'm not a big fan.
For the sake of spending.
For the sake of spending. I don't think that solves any of the structural problems that we have.